Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the London West Branch. My name is Mohammed Altaf, the chair of the branch. Just a very quick housekeeping as such. If you do have any questions, please put it in the chat. So today is our sort of first of a series of talks on digital transformation, which I guess is very appropriate in the current environment. And I'm sure we're going to have listen to some really good talk here. So the first one is going to be for today is going to be demystifying digital transformation, the buzz and the hype. And there's a second one today again is IT function transformation for digital business alignment. Our speaker, Kuldip Sandhu, is not new to the London West Branch. He has given talks in the past with in-depth insight into digital transformation. Kuldip is a digital IT transformation and change practice development advisor and consultant with 25 plus years working in IT across banking and financial services, higher education, and many other sectors. So I'm really glad that he's able to give us these talks and welcomes Kuldip as well. Without further ado, I'm going to hand over the presentation to Kuldip.
Thank you, Ram, and thank you, Altaf, for that lovely introduction. And good evening or good afternoon or wherever you are. Firstly, I'd like to thank the West London branch for having me to come back again and present on this really exciting and passionate topic and work area that I've been working in for over a number of years. As you can see, there's a number of clients and a number of organizations on the slide that I've worked in. So hopefully you think I'm suitably educated and experienced to talk about these areas. And it's, as I said, it's something that I've been working across a number of sectors for a number of years. This, as Altaf also mentioned, this is a series. The first two Altaf's already mentioned, but we've put this series in a certain sequence so that once I've done this presentation and these two topic areas, I'm going to be then talking about robotic process automation and a couple of case studies, and then talking about DevOps, which is a significant movement or cultural movement in the IT development world and operations world. And I'm going to be talking about that on the 10th of December. And in January, still in lockdown, I am pretty sure we will be. We're going to be talking about technology trends, and I've got some really insightful material around some of the technology trends that are coming around AI, machine learning, IoT, and edge computing. And I'm going to wrap it up about to do all the things I'm going to be talking about in the various sequences. We're going to talk about organizational change management. So that's what's coming and what I'm talking about today. So just to give everybody some frame of reference around the two topic areas. So the first one is going to be about digital transformation. I'm going to be talking about digital disruption and the impact of COVID-19 on organizations and worldwide, and the impact of rapid technology adoption. And I'm then going to try to give you a definition of digital transformation, because it means many things to many people. And then I'm just going to wrap it up with some key takeaways. And remember, I've got 25 minutes on each of these areas, so I'm not going to go into a deep dive, but enough to give you an insightful information and some context around what these initiatives are. And the second topic, I'm going to be talking around how and why it's so important to ensure that you can transform your IT department and IT function, because it's a critical part of digital transformation. I'm going to show you a few digital business models that I've come across in my working life. And I'm also going to be talking about an IT maturity model that helps you define where you are, where you want to get to, and that journey of IT function transformation, and who I think should own the IT transformation in the context of digital, and some key takeaways. So let's start moving into the first topic around digital transformation. So why is this such an important topic? I've done something like close to 10 webinars in 7-8 months since lockdown, actually in April. And I've been asking people, senior leaders and staff and IT professionals and digital professionals, what would they like to hear about? And here is the survey results that I've picked up. And in my webinar series, I've talked about a lot of topics from Agile, DevOps to IT maturity models. But as you can see right at the top, just below RPA, you've got digital transformation. People really want to know what this is because it's not just about technology, but it's about people and processes and partners and how you do organizational change. How has COVID-19 impacted digital disruption? So here I've got some real fresh research data from Gartner. And as you can see on the left-hand side, out of 260 kind of senior professional respondents, you can see that a lot of people are saying that they're going to accelerate their digital business initiatives due to the impact or the disruption that the pandemic has caused in their organization. And you can see there's an increased focus on operational excellence from digital business and actually using digital business initiatives to drive cost optimization and increasing investment. And similarly, on the right-hand side, what you can also see is that in going hand in hand with driving cost optimization and accelerating the digital business initiatives is actually an increased investment in IT and technology. So I think we're in an era or a period where, as organizations pivot and readdress what they are looking to achieve in their market segments and sectors, that their investment in digital business and technology is just being accelerated. And that is a key message that I want to bring across, because even before COVID, there was an increased investment in digital and in IT investment, but the pace of change was a lot slower. But what I'm seeing now is a lot of organizations are pushing ahead with their not only their investments, but their drive to become more digital. Um, what is digital? What does that really mean? Really, digital was born as a term for me, there's a change in the environment or a change in the market, and therefore we as a business within whatever sector we might be, finance, insurance, higher education, local government, we need to do things different. We're being disrupted. So disruption can come in many forms. There could be a political change. There's a merger or acquisition. There's a change in leadership. There's a significant business crisis, such as COVID-19. There's a performance gap. We know that as you can see here in the orange kind of lozenges, you can see there's various reasons why your business and your wants to become digital, because they feel market forces and changes, so that that requires them to think about how they can become better focused in their marketplace with their products and services, so that they can actually be more competitive. They might want to increase revenue and profitability, or they want to reach out to their citizens or residents so they can provide a better service. And COVID-19 has just been another business change or disruption that's come about, and it's impacted how we move forward, and it's just been an accelerator for business change. And before COVID, a lot of the discussions I was having with senior people were around how the pace of technology was accelerating change. And you can see here on this slide, on the left-hand side, we've got a little picture that shows how quickly it took to get to 50 million users of the aircraft, i.e. 68 years. It took 3 years for Facebook to get to 50 million users, but look at that, we're now getting to 50 million users on the Pokemon Go game in 19 days. And what that is telling us, that technology adoption pre-COVID was being done at an exponential rate, and what we're now seeing is that acceleration is going even faster. But the problem is that whilst we might be able to increase the technology adoption rate is increasing, organizations are not changing at the same pace. And Martek's law explains that. It says that the organizations typically change at a logarithmic rate, and therefore there becomes this gap between technology adoption and organizational change. And as I said, if COVID's accelerating digital business and technology adoption, that gap's getting any bigger. And we therefore need to think about how we're going to transform and become more high-performing agile organizations. And that takes, in my experience, 6 key things. I'll try to articulate that in the boxes below. You need to think about how you're organizationally structured or designed so that you deliver products and services not just in a vertical way, but very much in a horizontal product focused way, so that you're breaking down silos. And culture, or the ways of how we work, kind of dictate, which kind of stem from the business strategy, dictate the values and the behaviors, and therefore the culture within how you deliver your products and services. And that's a difficult ask in some cases. And what we also know that is that a lot of people are disengaged within their organization, and therefore we need to enhance that engagement. On top of this, we need to make sure our ways of working or our processes are done in a very agile way. So there's agile techniques or DevOps techniques. And on top of that, we need to make sure that we have management and leadership with the right business strategy and technology strategies and so forth that are providing that leadership and vision to take the organization with you, and it's being governed and funded in an appropriate way. I'm now going to quickly play a video to you, everybody, to show what's happened to organizations over the last 20, 30 years. And I want to make sure the message I'm trying to get across here is that technology is the key differentiator. It's the one that's been actually eating into industry. And please pay attention to the change in organizational context as we go through this video. Okay, so the reason I wanted to show everybody that video, there's a common theme that came out as you went through that 20-odd years. There was the big oil companies and the manufacturing companies, but at the end, when we got to 2019, the top 5 were Microsoft, Google, Apple, Amazon, and there's something that they all have in common, and they are big technology platform companies, and they are now the dominant, by market cap size, the dominant organizations. And the message is that I'm trying to bring across here is that they are the organizations that have used technology to differentiate themselves in the marketplace through their platforms, and they've transformed to become these digital giants. And that's what they've done from a digital transformation perspective. I just want to stop that. And if you still are not convinced, you can have a look at this chart that shows what happens in an internet minute. In 2019, 1 million logins of Facebook. In 2020, we get 1.3 million logins on Facebook. And with all the marketing, and you can see the other technology platforms, that's significant revenue that they generate using their platforms through their technology platforms for marketing and other social media aspects. So it's technology driving platforms that these organizations have used to become these giant conglomerates, and all enabled through technology. This digital disruption, so if you think about it, if you can leverage your technology in your organization and you can enhance the customer experience, you can bring about disruption in your marketplace. Here are some classic examples. We've all heard about the Uber, and there are new entrants in the marketplace that are displacing Uber. Airbnb, they're a large accommodation provider, but they don't own the properties. Skype, large telco communications phone network, but they don't own any infrastructure, similar to Alibaba and Facebook and Google. So there's loads of examples of that digital disruption. and the other, just a few more in telemedicine. We've got now you can have people who can use wearable devices. We can have drones that go and visit incident sites where they can support nurses and doctors treating people at the incident site. And you can use artificial intelligence where you're capturing data from incidents and triaging them live at sites. In the farming sector, there are drones that are fitted with cameras, they're machine learning, and that helps with cultivation, and also year in, year round. If you know what the climate is and you're tracking that, you can also think about how you're going to spray insecticides to help enhance the crop. The banking sector has gone through significant disruption. We know that mobile technology and now the challenger banks have merged. We've had Metro, we've had Starling Bank, and there's again they have high customer experience and satisfaction scores, and all enabled through their technology. So I wanted to, in terms of this presentation, trying to bring all this back together to give you a definition of what digital transformation is. So for me, digital transformation is about how you can change or reinvent your business model to enhance that customer experience, to aid the growth, be that from revenue or profitability, and aid efficiency in your organization. And what you can use is technology can act as a source of competitive advantage or differentiation for your organization and institution, be that in the public or private sector. And I think these platform technologies have emerged. They were here pre-COVID, and they are here to stay with new technology trends that can kind of enhance the transformation. And COVID-19 has helped us drive this digital transformation, accelerate this digital transformation from a slightly different perspective. And I just wanted to kind of give you that definition so everybody walked away with that in their mind. And just to kind of close off some of my thoughts around digital transformation before we go into the second topic, I think digital transformation is very important, and I wanted to show you this diagram in the context of how you go about transforming your business model. You need to be always thinking about the business problem that you're solving for your customers. You need to then devise a strategy and a vision, and your business model is all about capturing your understanding what your current competencies are, and then what your future competencies or capabilities are, and then transforming your culture and your organization and your business model to deliver the value proposition you have in that sector or market for your customer. And digital and COVID, what COVID has done is it's kind of accelerated that pace of change through a couple of examples. One, I've worked in the events industry quite recently, and we've moved to now hybrid events, for example, where we're using digital platforms, technology platforms that can deliver events virtually anywhere around the world, with maybe some people are on the ground face to face. We've done another transformation. We've helped the IT departments across the world rapidly. We're able to move people to remote working when the pandemic hit. Within a matter of 10, 15 days, some organizations were able to roll out Zoom or Microsoft Teams or Google Hangouts, whatever the video collaboration software was, and in a very agile and rapid way. And again, doing that with pace and adapting and learning as we go, and some real valuable lessons learned and how to make that change happen. I've worked at a number of higher education institutions recently as well, and they're going through massive change now. They are rapidly turning their content into digital content so students can learn virtually. There's a shift there, and it's happening across sectors. And those people that think digital transformation is not going to impact them, I think they are sadly wrong. It's just a matter of time. It's here. Just to wrap up the first topic, here are some key takeaways that I've captured in some of my work experiences in helping organizations develop their digital strategy and their digital transformation programs. And here are some of the key traits that I've seen, and I've listed them in order of the top sort of 6 to 8 there. One of them is around how you need to make sure you're strategically orientated, so you have that digital vision, and it dovetails with what the opportunities you see for your customers. You need to be very results orientated, so that you're biased towards action and you are able to marshal your resources in an agile way. And hence you need that commercial agility as well as the agility to pivot and change according to the market forces and the challenges you might face as you go on your transformation journey and as you're delivering your services and your products to your customers. You need inspirational leadership, where you are able to excite your team and motivate them to lead them to action, getting their buy-in, and actually developing an emotional attachment within teams so that they are focusing on the right things and they are prioritized in a way to resolve problems for customers, as well as develop things in a more agile and productive way. Agility and influence is very important because we all very much work in a matrix type organizations, so you have to be somebody who can collaborate across functions, gathering support, momentum, and iteratively driving that alignment to deliver the solutions with joint decision making. I think always we need to make sure that we have the customer and at the heart, so that we understand what their behavior is, and their behavior dictates what products and services we need to develop, and that also should drive the different types of channels that they want to have their products and services delivered. And COVID-19 and the lockdowns has driven us to shop online, get our food delivered online, and those channels need to be well developed with the right content so that they can be engaging and really appealing to your customers. And data centricity is really important because that helps with understanding the information and the feedback loops that you have in IT and in the business, but also with your customers, so that you can understand customer sentiment, but also the data in your organization, be it structured or unstructured, so that you can use that data to drive service improvement and change in the right areas to provide you with the right information and insight as you go forward. So I'm just taking a quick pause because I think I am at the halfway point, and I just want to do a quick sanity check. Altaf, am I okay?
You're good, Kuldip. Yeah, good to go for the next one. Thank you.
Okay, so that was a kind of a whistle tour on digital transformation. I hope you've taken away the fact that being digital is a mindset change. It's a different way of thinking. It requires you to think about how you use technology and your platforms to drive customer engagement and that customer centricity, and technology can act as your enabler. Now, one of the biggest challenges I've seen in many organizations is that they want to go on a digital transformation journey. They understand they need to do it, but they have a big problem. And one of the biggest problems I've seen is that the IT function or the IT department is not playing ball. It's delivering on its pet projects. It's not aligned to the business, and it needs to change. It needs a structural, a cultural service delivery change to align it to the business. And what I'm going to do is now just talk you through some of my experiences and some of the tools I've used to help transform an IT department to align it to that digital transformation agenda that I've just described to you. And that's the linkage between the topic 1 and topic 2. So as I said, technology is that it can act as that differentiator. there are always emerging technology and trends. I think I've already said to you that the technology adoption has been increasing year on year, and as I was talking to you about those examples around how quickly we can now get to high volumes of users of technology, you can see that technology adoption is increasing, but we need to keep pace in terms of organizational change. So that those digital and technology trends are now forcing the culture of organizations to change from being able to work anywhere at any time, enhancing customer experience, opening up, de-siloing organizations so that you can work across functions and cross departments. But I still think the IT function needs to modernize itself. And I've tried to differentiate here on this slide that there's an impact on IT, but there's also an impact on the IT function. There's usually lots of legacy systems. It's really complex. It's not agile. It's not working aligned to the business, and it's not delivering the services it should do. And it's not responsive to service delivery issues, And users are always, I need to have my password reset. Can you do it quickly, efficiently? Always having to contact at the service desk. There's some real challenges, even at a basic level, that the IT department has. And I wanted to just show here on this slide that there's actually a difference between digital transformation and digitizing. One of the things I will be talking about in future presentation is around RPA. And RPA, robotic process automation, is one of those kind of AI techniques where they're using robotic software, and that's more about digitization, where you're actually improving business processes and automating. And that's different to digital transformation, which is that business model reinvention and adopting technology at pace. But now I'm going to more focus on the impact on the IT function. Typically, there's that gap. I typically see the gap between the business and IT. There's a business perception, and then there's a digital or kind of IT perception. The business will typically say, oh, I want IT to deliver more value. Why don't you deliver your projects on time, cost, and quality? The outsourcing provider is not delivering the service that we expect it to. I can't get the right iPad. Why can't we have cloud services? Because we can't get good infrastructure services from the IT function. Whereas the IT perception is the business never really knows what it wants. The business is always throwing new things over the fence and expect us to work out what they want. And technology never has that seat at the table in terms of its being involved in the business strategy. And there isn't really an appetite for innovation from technology. It's usually it's usually lots of complaints about service delivery, and can you just focus on ensuring that the network's fine? So with that context, I think the world is changing. And I think if you just reflect on what I was talking around in digital transformation, and I think the IT leadership and the expectations of IT leaders has changed. The CIO's role has now become more of a chief digital officer, where he's moving away from the CIO of today, as you can see on the left-hand side, where it's always been about utility, cloud computing, software as a service, looking at the applications network, your storage and your access. It's more moving towards how you use technology to give you as an enabler or a business partner with the business, so that you're providing that technology lens to get to become that digital organizations. And it's now, I think, slowly but surely, the IT leadership are now getting involved in driving the business and digital strategy, and looking at how we can use that to drive that enhanced customer experience, bringing about innovation, using the analytics to give you information and performance. Three models. I wanted to show you three models, digital models that I've come across, and I know we can't we can't do a poll here, but I wanted to show you these three models and just kind of describe them to you at a high level. And hopefully you recognize that your organization sits in one of these. Model one is the traditional enterprise, which you have some level of customer satisfaction, and you've got your products and your services and your business processes underpinning them, with a kind of waterfall SDLC process and systems, IT systems enabling those business processes and the underlying efficiency infrastructure underpinning them. And that in that traditional model, what I've seen is organizations trying to digitize and get efficiency, whereas on the extreme right is model three. Model three is the digital enterprise, or you could call it the digital native. And those are the ones that I was talking about in the digital transformation, those examples, where they've become digital organizations through reinventing their business model. They're using Agile, IoT, DevSecOps, data and analytics, and underlying infrastructure or cloud services to make sure that they can reinvent themselves in various modes so they can deliver that enhanced customer experience. Now, your organization, they might well be in model one, they might well be in model three, sorry. There is a model that I've put in here, model two, where you might also be, and there could be other models. Model two is where you've got the traditional enterprise is acquiring a digital acquisition, or it creates a digital native, i.e. it creates a separate organization attached to his enterprise, and it tries to grow that digital native in a different way, as like the digital native that I've described in model three. Examples of these organizations, I know, for example, that Rolls-Royce have a major team that's acting as that digital native, and that's working very well for them. The digital native or enterprise on the far right, and that was Uber. That was an Uber example. They grew up like that, and then I've seen Starling Bank as a digital native slowly entering that sector. And the reason for me to show you these is that there are different models that are emerging around how organizations work and construct themselves. And going from model one to model three, or model one to two, or two to three, is not an easy ask. It requires significant transformation. And how do we do that transformation? And I think as this is the second topic around the IT function transformation, I wanted to show you an IT maturity model, which I've used extensively with organizations to help them understand where they are with their IT department and where they should go to. And let me just quickly try to describe this to you. In the, you can see 5 dimensions of number 1 of strategy, 2 of structure, 3 of process, 4 of people or capability, and 5 of technology and data. Technology meaning the underlying systems and infrastructure. And there's 5 levels here. Level 1 is your basic ad hoc level. Level 2 is your operationally focused. Level 3, you're at IT is now getting managed as the business, and stage 4 is where you're a value creator, and stage 5 you're integrated with within the business, and you get into a level of IT excellence. And what this IT maturity model, I've used this to work with senior executives in the past to understand where they think they are in their current state. And when you get that consensus here in the red arrow there of your current state, you can then have a really interesting conversation about where your future state is. It could be at level 3 or 4. But the important message here is that if there is a good consensus about current and future state, you know that there's a gap, and that gap allows you to define a strategy and a roadmap to go from your current state to your future state. And just to finally just crystallize what those levels are. Level 1 is where you're very reactive, you haven't got a limited IT architecture, you've got very siloed processes and functions and departments within IT. Level 2, you started to become more predictive around service delivery and managing those, and you actually know you have a really strong awareness and a need for change, and you're sponsored. The change is sponsored at the top, or At level 3, you get a level of standardization around the IT function. You're starting to now adopt agile techniques and bringing in DevOps kind of culture. You're getting some rigor and controls around change management and project delivery. And finally, you're starting to become aligned to the priorities and demands from the business. Whereas level 4, you're becoming integrated and you're delivering value according to the needs of the business. Level 5, you're continually optimizing from a people, process, and a technology perspective, and you're thinking about future trends, and you're bringing that to bear in the IT department. So this slide is really important, because if you can transform your IT function to become that moving towards whatever you go from your different digital business models I talked to you might be a model 1 and you want to get to model 3. This allows a roadmap or a strategic journey to be developed to go from that level 1, a model 1 to model 2, or even model 1 to 3, or 2 to 3. And it actually has helped me as I've been providing transformational consultancy services to organizations, transverse that IT function transformation, so that the IT function then gets aligned to the business digital agenda of the organization. It's this model is underpinned by a few pillars. One of the pillars is about managing out complexity. My experience of working in a lot of IT departments is that the infrastructure and the system stack becomes very, very complex very quickly, and it's very difficult for not only the architects to understand how systems integrate and work, and you really need, and what happens then is you start building up your legacy IT and your debt, your technology debt. You need to manage out that complexity. You need to bring in agility, and agility is about how you can adapt and pivot and change according to the needs of your business. We see that every few years there's something new in the marketplace, or new technology trends, or new technology initiatives come in. Cloud has been a classic one, which took off 5-10 years ago, and has really, really radically improved the agility of the delivery of IT services through spinning up environments whilst being cognizant of the need to manage the costs of cloud. Bringing in innovation is important. We need to be continually improving and using technology as a differentiator. And if you can innovate, as I said, digital organizations are the ones that adopt technology at pace, so that they can re-engineer their business models and they can innovate quickly. And then IT has always got to bring value. It's always got to demonstrate the return on investment from IT. So, and demonstrate that through measurements on particular KPIs that organization is focused on. That could be profitability, revenue, customer satisfaction. It could be other KPIs that the organization is trying to improve in terms of its delivery of its products and services. As you transcend the maturity levels, level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, there's a whole heap of benefits. I won't dwell too much on them, but they are centered around bringing value, reducing costs, bringing in effectiveness of standardization, and bringing in efficiency and productivity gains. If you can reduce waste and become lean in your IT function, you can then leverage that extra effort and time to focus on the things that are important. And it also spares up time for the IT leadership or the CIO and his team to focus on innovation. And if you're agile and you're adaptable and you can scale up for growth, you can deliver deliver work at a faster pace. And if you can do things using agile techniques where you're working very close with the customer or your business users in iterating, doing small pieces of functions and features which you share constantly with the customer with constant feedback loops, you're able to bring in customer intimacy, but also bringing in transparency, reducing risk, and making sure what you deliver meets the needs of your business. And that will always help in reducing any customer friction or challenges around delivery. And on top of this, if you can integrate, you can have your infrastructure layer, your application layers, and then you tend to have your hypervisors as well as your integration layers. If you can use integration software that allows you to pull data and cleanse data in a way to give you a single version of truth, you can start to improve the data hygiene and reuse of that and data quality. And then you can start thinking about how you can use that data and that information to give you knowledge and insights, and then maybe move towards AI, machine learning, and data science in the future. Who owns IT transformation? Well, IT transformation is owned by the senior leaders in IT, but they really need to have sponsorship and support from senior executives in the organization. And this slide is just to show that pre-COVID, the legacy CIO that I showed you earlier was very much focused on applications and networks. I'm not saying that doesn't happen anymore. It still needs to happen, but that could be the IT operations leader. But the future CIO and his leadership team should really be thinking about how I can bring in change from a digital and IT perspective that's done in an iterative way and is very adaptive. And I think that's what's going to emerge as a key learning for the new norm. And I think we've got some really good examples. We've got some really good examples from remote working, digitizing content, moving things online, and that rapid change that we've seen over the last 6-8 months. Now, I think and IT has also, I think, has ticked the box about helping organizations being more resilient, enhancing business resilience. And I think there's an opportunity now for senior leaders to be able to, say, we did this, we know we've learned some lessons around how we can do it, things more quicker, faster, better, and learn as we go along. It's a glorious opportunity for IT to be at the center stage of IT and digital transformation. Key takeaways from the IT transformation piece, I think we've still got to be wary that not all organizations are going to be flush with cash, so that we do the prudent investments in the priority areas that will give efficiency. And there'll be business cases very much focused on that and making sure we're eliminating any core spend. I think technology adoption should be seen as the norm. There's no option for going back to the old situation. Agility is everything, and we should be bringing that into IT service delivery. We need to make sure that we're always in alignment with the business needs, and we're driving and we're symbiotic with the business, and we're always thinking about IT delivery, IT change, and innovation as we move forward. And as I said before, this is a real opportunity for the senior IT leadership team to support and drive the business strategy from a digital perspective to bring about that change that we've seen. And as I've said, the IT maturity model has really helped in benchmarking where you are, where you want to go in your IT transformation journey to support digital. With that said, I am going to stop and see if there's any questions. And I would like to say that was quite a rapid 40-50 minutes. I hope it's enticed or it's been insightful, and it's given everybody some really good thoughts around digital and IT transformation.
Thank you, Kuldip. Thank you. Any questions for Kuldip? If you can just put it on the chat. I did have one question, Kuldip, in that you mentioned about the IT department, and why do you think the IT department doesn't like change or adopt digital transformation easily?
Yeah, it's a great question. It does vary across sectors. So there's always a question. I always think about. There's a number of things I think about here. Leadership, the right leadership to understand that technology is the thing that gives you that differentiation. Do we have the right leaders in place who understand that they can get that competitive advantage from technology? And I'm not sure that we have that all the time. That's one thing. And if you do have the right leaders, then you have that support and sponsorship to transform the IT function to become what it could be as the enabler for digital. I think in some sectors, and I'm being really cautious in calling out, so I've worked in some sectors where they haven't gone through 20 years of change. So what I mean is they haven't gone through outsourcing, insourcing, re-outsourcing, then focusing on certain parts of the IT department for sourcing, and then digitizing services, and then going for digital transformation. So whilst that transformation, if they haven't gone through that change, the staff in the IT department haven't learned and developed and upskilled at the same time. So what happens is, well, I've certainly seen this, is the staff members in IT haven't grown with the organization in that particular sector. And so they don't have the skills to transform or know how to go about transformation. And so and at the same time, what we've seen in the world is, let's pick an example. A student now goes to university, and students now in the cohort that's gone now were born in the year 2000, 18 plus, right? They were born with the internet. They want wireless technology to be everywhere. They have devices galore. They are born with technology, and their experience with technology is that it should just be there and working. And when they have that expectation is very different to the experience and the expectation that we provide to our workforce in many ways. And that does, and I caution is that it does varies across certain sectors I've worked in. Some cases is a great service. In some, it's very, very poor. So, in a way, to answer your question, Altaf, is that I think it varies by sectors. It varies by the leadership and the belief of the leadership in technology, and it varies by the skill sets of the staff. And some technology folks like to do technology things, right? And expectations don't match the delivery that we've seen. I hope I've answered your question.
No, yes, thank you. I'm just going to unmute myself. Yes, thank you, Kuldip. We are coming very close to that time, so I'm just going to, I guess, wrap up, Kuldip. Thank you for that interesting talk, Kuldip. Obviously, it's a big topic, and you tried to do it in a very short time, and actually covering two different topics within this as well. It was quite interesting where you sort of mentioned about the current environment is actually accelerating, or some companies actually accelerating their digital transformation, which is quite interesting. We would have thought it's the other way because of the financial situation, but I can probably understand now from where you're coming. So very interesting talk indeed. So thank you very much, Kuldip, for that, and to the audience. Thank you for your attendance. We do have our second talk in this series on the 10th of December. So please register if you have not already done so, and hope to see you then. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming and listening to me. And there were rapid topics, but I like I said, if you have any questions, please do reach out to me, and I look forward to seeing you at the next one.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Thank you.